What is up, and welcome to Me, You, and Switch 2. I am me, Tom Tate, and you are you. So let's talk about Switch 2. This is the latest and greatest Nintendo Switch 2 news, brought to you every Tuesday and Friday in snackable 5 to 10 minute episodes. We try to keep things short and sweet. Today might be a little bit longer. It is Friday, April 24th, and if this is your first time tuning in, thank you for being here. Welcome to the show. If you're back for more, you might know that I've been traveling the past 10 days, 11 days or so, mostly for work. But I also did hit Disney in Orlando for about 4 days with the family. Had a lot of fun. Did some celebrating for a special occasion. I love everything about that place. I'm a huge Disney fanatic. I wanted to go to Super Nintendo World at Universal, but the pricing for a single day with my family was just outrageously expensive. So I didn't get to go, but I did make it to Universal Studios one night for a work function, and we were kind of forced to stay in this New York area. So I went on the Jimmy Fallon ride, which was really cool, and I got to go in the Nintendo shop. So outside of City Walk, where all the restaurants are, there's a lot of stores, and I did get to see some of the Nintendo merch that they have there. I didn't really pick up anything, but some cool stuff. But yeah, hoping one day I get to go to Super Nintendo World at Universal and check out all there is to see there. I'm so happy to be home. I'm happy to be back in front of a real computer and a microphone. I was recording with like a little handheld lapel mic in a bathroom at a hotel, and it is not fun, I'll be honest. But I'm happy to also finally have some news to talk about, because I feel like the past few episodes were just filler. Not just because I was traveling. There really wasn't a lot of news. I was just kind of grasping at straws. So we're going to dive in because we have a lot to talk about. Just after I hit publish on Tuesday, Nintendo revealed a trailer and release details for Splatoon Raiders. Now, this game will launch on July 23rd for $49.99 digitally and $59.99 physically. So we're seeing that variable pricing that Nintendo talked about, where the digital games will be a bit cheaper, more affordable than the physical games. So I like that. I think that's awesome. My son is super excited for this game. The focus for this spinoff is a single player experience. This is not going to be the multiplayer experience that we're accustomed to, that, Splatoon has been known for. Now I'm going to link to the Nintendo Store listing for Splatoon Raiders, which has all the pre-order details, but it also has the trailer if you want to check that out, because it reveals a lot of the details. But let me just read verbatim, what it says here on the details page. In this single-player focused adventure, play as a mechanic working with Deep Cut, a trio of swashbuckling musicians, and venture out into the mysterious Spearhalite Islands. Customize your character, kit yourself out with mechanical gadgets and ink-splattering weapons, and take on waves of enemy salmonoids as you raid the islands for treasure. It's not just you out there, though. One member of Deep Cut will raid alongside you in a powerful bot. You can also join up to 3 other players online or via local wireless. Okay, so this is definitely a new direction for Splatoon. I'm looking forward to checking it out. I know it's a single-player experience, but I like that you can join up to 3 other players. That feels like a good, solid extension of the Splatoon experience. Very, very cool. Now, before we get Splatoon Raiders from Nintendo, they'll also be delivering Yoshi and the Mysterious Book. This is releasing on May 21st. Now, the hype train has left the station on this one. They're definitely kind of kicking off the pre-launch promotion. Yesterday, Nintendo released a new 6-minute overview trailer on YouTube, which I'll link to in the show notes. And a lot of journalists and various outlets, they got their hands on a preview of the game. It looks like they were able to access chapters 1 and 4 based on the previews that I've read. Personally, I love the look of this game. I think they landed on a very cool aesthetic with the kind of storybook, hand-drawn feel. Lots of visual references to the Yoshi games that I grew up playing too, so there's that kind of nostalgic piece to it. The journalist response has been generally favorable, but they did a good job kind of contextualizing this game. I think it's important to remember that this title is likely aimed directly at kids and new gamers. You'll notice the pace is slower. Most Yoshi games are. The mechanics seem approachable and fun, and I kind of look at this and I think it's like even too beginner for my kids, who would probably get bored of this after playing Donkey Kong Bonanza and Mario Wonder and some faster paced games. So I don't know if my kids are going to want to pick this up. I probably won't, because it feels like this is, aimed solely at young gamers and kids. And I think that that's totally fine. So here are a few notes I scribbled down after reading a bunch of previews, and I'll link to all of them in the show notes if you want to read them yourself. IGN's Leanne Butkovic titled her preview, Yoshi and the Mysterious Book Preview. It's more for kids than for you, and that's okay. The newest Yoshi game is a forgiving platformer aimed at the youngest Nintendo fans among us. And here's a quick quote from that preview. The nice thing is that it's so forgiving, you can't really fail. If you accidentally eat something you weren't supposed to eat, it'll just respawn, though it may put a small dent in your progress. If you mess up one of the platforming challenges, you simply just start again until you get it right. She also mentioned that you don't really take damage in this game either. And that's, really forgiving, right? If you're a kid and you just want to experience the game, it's not going to get frustrating. You won't be rage quitting every 30 minutes. This isn't a Super Meat Boy situation. Polygon's Jen Glennon called that out in her preview as well. In her title for the preview, she wrote, Yoshi and the Mysterious Book won't let you die, but it does let you vibe. Despite all the egg tossing, you can't hurt anyone and they can't hurt you. I like this paragraph that describes the plot setup, which I didn't really talk about yet, but she wrote, the story is your typical bare bones yet adorable Nintendo fare. A smiling, mustachioed book wearing a rainbow monocle appears before a group of colorful Yoshi, seeking their help to recover the contents of his pages. His name is Mr. Encyclopedia, but you can call him Mr. E for short. If this sort of whimsy for whimsy's sake annoys you, it is omnipresent and inescapable in Yoshi and the Mysterious Book. So I'd encourage you to go play Crimson Desert or something. I love that kind of intro, just acknowledging that this is a cute, adorable little kid's game. And if you have a problem with that, go play a rated M for mature game, right? There's plenty of them out there. This kind of reminds me too of some of the critical responses that I read to the Super Mario Galaxy movie, where you just have to acknowledge this is a movie for kids. This is an animated movie for children and for families to just go and have fun. It's not going to be this critical hit, with perfect plotting and incredible acting where everything makes sense. It's just a fun little romp through the Mushroom Kingdom and the galaxy, right? I think this is going to be the same. I think this is going to be a fun, cute little game. It's going to be slow-paced, and if you're a kid, you're probably going to love it. So I'll link to Nintendo Life's preview roundup. I generally, saw that the people who played this game, they weren't sure if it could sustain a full title's worth of content. That's one theme that I read. So we'll see if it has the longevity of a full title. Nintendo Life's Jim Norman applauded that there was a surprising amount of depth under the hood. That's a direct quote. So there might be more to it once we get the full title. We'll find out next month, May 21st. We'll see how this game ends up. Next up, we have Annapurna Games. They've released a ton of really interesting titles, and they just put out a video showcasing their Switch and Switch 2 launch lineup for the rest of the year. So we're getting Switch 2 versions of Sayonara Wild Hearts and Lorelei and the Laser Eyes. Both of them just kind of released this week. I don't know that they were announced, but they just showed up. So $12.99 for Sayonara and $24.99 for Lorelei and the Laser Eyes. So reasonably priced. I think there are free upgrades if you already bought the Switch 1 editions. You'll get all the typical Switch 2 stuff like better frame rates and higher resolution and all that stuff. The game Mixtape, which was previously announced, this will hit May 7th. I talked about my excitement for this game before. It's a narrative-driven game, but it looks very music-oriented, like actually referencing real artists and real songs. So the soundtrack, I think, will be a powerful mechanic here. Really excited for this concept. A port of the game Stray will hit Switch 2 on May 28th for $30. I've never played Stray, but it's been out for a bit. It was critically acclaimed. A lot of people really loved this game. I think it first showed up on PS5 and maybe Steam, and ended up on Xbox at some point. But Switch 2 will finally get Stray later in May. To a T will release on June 11th. I watched this clip in the trailer. I still don't have a ton of information on this game, but this will be $19.99. Very cute, adorable looking art style on this one as well too. I'm excited for this one. Wonder Stop will release on June 23rd. This was just announced for Switch 2. This will be $24.99. This one, I think, falls in that cozy game genre, that cozy game category. I think you are managing a tea shop in this, and it's been on my list for quite a bit because one of my favorite podcasters, Chris C.J. Johnston of the Player One podcast, which I've been listening to for over 15 years now, shared that this was his favorite game of last year. And I take their top games list every year with a lot of respect, right? Because they've always seemed to line up with my interests. So the fact that he listed this as his favorite game put it on my radar, and I'm excited that I can potentially play it on Switch 2. Well, I can definitely play it on Switch 2 after June 23rd for $24.99. Detopia will arrive on July 14th. Forever Ago coming soon 2026, and Demi and the Fractured Dream coming soon 2026. I don't have a lot of details on those games, but I will link to the trailer. It's 90 seconds if you want to check that out. And they all look so cool. I mean, like the art styles for these games are just so unique, and they all vary in genre and play style. So I'm excited about this. They also reference People of Note, which we talked about. That was released earlier this month. It's kind of like the K-pop Demon Hunters pop band mashup, just RPG. Really interesting game. I didn't read any reviews for that, but I do want to keep that on my radar as well. Okay, we are at the 12-minute mark. We're past the 12-minute mark, so let's run through a speed round of miscellaneous game headlines. There's a lot of game news that popped up this week. The anime co-op game Orbitals, this is a Switch 2 exclusive that had a bunch of coverage this week, a new gameplay trailer. This game will arrive at some point this summer. I'll link to the previews from Polygon and Nintendo Life if you want to check that out. I like this quote. This was from the Polygon article. This is from the creative director, Marcos Ramos. He said, at the end of the day, the mission was always to try and make an IP that could have existed in the 80s, but you just somehow missed. That's the vibe we're going for. I love that quote, and I think they are nailing it visually. We'll see about gameplay once we actually get our hands on this one, but I'm excited for this game. They reference Neon Genesis, Evangelion. They reference Cowboy Bebop, all franchises that I really love. BUBSY 4D, which releases next month, got a free demo in the eShop for Switch and Switch 2. Ratatan, a rhythm game that arrives on Switch 2 in July, announced a physical release. Alien Rogue Incursion Part 1 Evolved Edition arrived unexpectedly on Switch 2 this past week, so it's available now. This is a first-person shooter in the Alien universe. Vampire Crawlers is... the subtitle here is the Turbo Wildcard from Vampire Survivors. This is from the creators of Vampire Survivors. This is a turn-based card game. Very different game style than their previous release, but it looks to be just as addicting. That is available now as well. Okay, that's a lot. We're going to hit 15 minutes today, but I think it's all right. I'm just so happy to be back, as I mentioned, behind a proper microphone with some actual news to talk about. While I was gone, the podcast surpassed 10,000 downloads, which is a nice milestone. I take that with a grain of salt. I think there's still a lot of growth left, but I would not continue doing this show if people were not listening. So I want to thank you, as always, for your time and your attention. Really appreciate it. Let's do 10,000 more and to the moon, right? Let's just keep going. Kind rating or review goes a long way. Sharing with a friend or gaming community goes even further. You can go to switch2pod.com for all the things. That's switch with the number 2pod.com. Switch2pod on Blue Sky if you need to reach me. I hope that you have an incredible weekend. I hope that it's fruitful. I will be back on Tuesday. Much love. Now go play some games.